Hello everybody and welcome to That's Football. What's going on in this Premier League title race? And are Manchester City in crisis? City fans, you know the score, you know the rules when it comes to that. But look, I normally say Man City in crisis and they go on an amazing run. And that could happen, but we do have to acknowledge that this Premier League title race is absolutely fantastic, and that's what's going on here. It's got nothing to do with anything around a drop-off in quality. I think that we've got an amazing Premier League season where Arsenal have found a second wind and Liverpool have found a consistency that probably just wasn't there. I also want to talk about Erling Haaland. Is he misfiring? Is that the problem with Manchester City at the moment? Personally, I just think that Man City this season have a bit of an identity crisis. The last season, they'd probably be... I actually predicted in the summer that Man City would have this title done by Christmas. I thought they'd be 10 points clear because I assumed that they would just continue in the same vein as last year. But when I look at Man City, and I've watched them the last 2 weeks, I watched them play against Everton, I watched them play against Chelsea last night. I think there's three big issues with this Man City side. One, that John Stones has been injured for most of the season, and that was such a transformative way of using him last year, sort of stepping into the midfield. Two, Riyad Mahrez was a very, very consistent player to lose. He might not have started all the time, but you stick him in the team, he had an amazing consistency. And also, I think Gundogan, who at this time last year just suddenly found this amazing form where he was scoring most weeks and was massive. So I think those three players out of a team, it's like losing three players with injury for a season. They've not adjusted. Doku, at the moment, just reminds me of Alan St-Maximin. Exciting player who doesn't seem to know what he's doing and hasn't adjusted yet. Grealish is hardly ever in the team. I don't think that the Foden thing, whilst it's worked, I don't think off the wing it really works. Bernardo Silva doesn't seem to be playing as much. Erling Haaland isn't scoring as many goals because they're not creating as many chances, I don't think. De Bruyne has been out for a lot of the season as well. So I think Man City are misfiring, and I think there's enough reasons for it. But they could still win this league title. I mentioned this yesterday. Man United won a lot of Premier League titles under Sir Alex, and some of them were vintage years, and some of them we didn't do well in the Champions League, but we were better than everybody else, and we got through and we won the league. And that could happen with Man City. It might not be a vintage year, because it's certainly not been. They still might have enough to win this league because they're quality. But they're not. They're misfiring. Some people say, well, it's because they won the treble last year. I don't think that's the way Pep Guardiola works, and I don't think that's the way the modern Man City player works. I don't think they think we've won the treble, let's take our foot off the pedal, because they could win 4 Premier Leagues in a row. No one's ever done that. They could win the treble again, which no one has ever done. So there's no reason for them to go, we've made it. I don't see Erling Haaland suddenly going, I can't be arsed. I just think that the real reason that Man City are struggling is because of those reasons I've just mentioned there. 3 key players haven't really played. De Bruyne has been injured. Players that have come in are taking time to adjust. And, I think that you've got to also acknowledge that Arsenal and Liverpool especially have been incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, Arsenal at Christmas were being written off. That win against Liverpool, but surrounding that with a lot of goals and a lot of wins, has just put them right back in the race, and they're rejuvenated and their energy has gone up. And then Liverpool, who have just, maybe they're inspired by Klopp leaving in the summer, but they were already doing well anyway. They really sense an opportunity as well. It's a 3-way, and it's ridiculously tight. As we know, if Man City win that game in hand, they're 1 point behind Liverpool. The game at Anfield is massive, but I still think there's a lot of twists and turns. And at this point, I'd be very interested to know what you have to say in the comments. Who's winning this league title? Who's the favourite? Because I think Man City still win it on pure experience and know-how. But if you want to know who the favourite is, it has to be slightly Liverpool in my mind. I think this weekend has changed it. And it will change. That's how close it is as well. I mean, I'd love to say in a couple of weeks Arsenal are the favourites, because that could happen. But after this weekend's results, I think Liverpool have to be slight favourites, because they're top. They will still be top when Man City win their game in hand, which I'm sure they will. And they play Man City at Anfield. So Man City have basically got to go and win there, which they can do, but it's at Anfield, and Liverpool are a good side. So I think at the moment, Liverpool logically have to be slight favourites, but it's so close between the three. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that we have a tournament that, again, I mean, I think we thought that last I think we saw that. I think last season we had an amazing Premier League season. where Arsenal fell away at the end. I mean, this could be even better. A title race is exactly what we want. But yeah, look, I think in relation to Man City, whether they win this league or not, and I still think they will, when they drop points, it makes the title race better. That's always been the key. But then they're not vintage Man City. They're not. They're not as strong as they were. Are they going through a transition? Are they coming towards the end? I mean, God, I don't know. How long's Erling Haaland going to stay there? But look, Erling Haaland is still the best striker in the world. And there is a bit of a myth going around that Erling Haaland is misfiring this season. Well, look, based on Premier League goal conversion, he's still very, very high up. He's got 23.5% goal conversion rate. And with regards to strikers, only Isaac at Newcastle and Jota at Liverpool have better ones, 29% for Isaac and 25% for Jota. He is, without doubt, still the best striker in the league. He's averaging goals per 90, 0.80, which is better than anybody else in the league. So, look, he probably should have scored 2 goals against Chelsea. But I don't think... I'd be interested to know. I think shots, he's had... How many shots has he had this season? So I just think that last season he was getting more better opportunities. I don't have the stats on that. This is purely eye test. But I think last season he clearly was. I mean, I don't need the stats. He was clearly getting more chances last season because he smashed the goal record apart last season. And yet this season he's still got a good goal conversion rate. So I mean, I'm gonna have a look at that in a moment. But shots per 90, shots this season he's had 68. Same as Alvarez actually. So Alvarez has had as many shots as him, which is incredible. Only Watkins 69 and Nunez 74 has had more. But I can do last season. So let's do last season. Let's have a look for Erling Haaland. So he's had 68 shots this season, Erling Haaland. And obviously we're about 3/4 of the way through. For last season, he had... Come on. Here it goes. Last season, he had 113. And his goal conversion rate was 31%. So he's currently 25%. So there's been a 6% drop off on his goal conversion rate. But he had 113 shots last year. And he's had 68 this year. And I don't think he will get anywhere near 113. So yeah, it was obviously getting more, and we don't know the quality of these shots he's getting either without going into a deep dive. But yeah, I don't think Erling Haaland really is the issue at Manchester City, is what I'm trying to say. I think Man City, their issue is they're not as good as last year. They're not as free-flowing as last year. They're more vulnerable. I watched them against Everton last week and I thought Calvert-Lewin and the Everton attack were redundant. If they'd have had an attack, they could have been a threat. What we saw with Chelsea was they defended as well as Everton, but they also had a threat on the break. And that's how you get something out of Man City at the moment. You will get opportunities out of them. I think the points that Man City have dropped this year, I don't think they dropped last year. And that's to our benefit. But, you know, it's almost like Man City go from being the greatest team in the world to a club in crisis. And I know I've got that there, but it's almost tongue-in-cheek because I've done it before. And that's why I've done it. But they've just dropped off a little bit. They're not at the level last year, but I don't think it's because of they're not trying as hard or because they won the treble last year. I actually think the rotation of players hasn't worked. De Bruyne got injured, Stones got injured, 2 big players who've been out for most of the season. Gundogan and Mahrez were massively important players. Grealish has had a bad season. Doku's not adjusting. They're not creating as many chances for their striker. I think that Liverpool are way better and Arsenal are better. So when you marry that all into the pie, I think you end up with what we've got here, which is a really good title race. What's going on? We've got a great title race. Get your comments in below. Let me know your thoughts. Have Man City dropped off? I think the reasons I've said are undisputable. I think Liverpool have been incredible, and I think Arsenal have bounced back brilliantly in the second half of the season. And I think we've got a title race on our hands. I think that's what's going on. But what do you think's going on? Why is it Man City just can't get firing this season? And who do you think are the favourites to win the title now? Get your comments in below. I'll speak to you on the next one.